Hola, welcome back. This is Ange.
This is Adrian.
Welcome to our motorcycle journey around Spain and Portugal. So we're here to see what more we can discover. So thanks for joining us and welcome back, and we'll see you on the road.
See you on the road.
Okay, welcome back. We're on our day 10 today.
Yeah.
We're here in the city of Porto. We made it across, and so we left Bragança yesterday. It was a stunning morning out, absolutely beautiful, clear skies everywhere, lovely temperature.
It certainly was.
Yeah, so then we jumped on the bike, and it was a relatively uneventful ride, and so straight along the freeway.
Yeah.
And with a slight diversion around a place called Villarreal, where there were some bushfires on the side of the road. So we actually saw the flames and saw the firefighters fighting them, and we were diverted off the freeway. And which was a really fortunate thing for us, because the road around there was just beautiful, through these little villages and a bit of farmyards and some vineyards.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. So that was a nice little diversion through off the freeway there. There was a couple of hours ride from there to we get to Guimarães, and which is the first capital of Portugal.
Yeah.
So that was the first capital in the 12th century, and it was the birthplace of King Afonso.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of King Afonso, he was the world's longest reigning monarch. With 73 years and 220 days, I believe it was. And his son was the shortest reigning monarch in the world. So Portugal has the longest and the shortest reigning monarchs, with his son only surviving 20 minutes as the king, which is a bit of a bummer for him, because he unfortunately died from injuries sustained during his father's assassination. So So not much of a rain there for it.
No.
So,
Guimaras was beautiful, wasn't it?
Guimaras was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, such a lovely old world charm to it. A lot of the buildings having tiled facades. And,
right.
Lovely town squares with flowers and old buildings and castles, and it was lovely.
Yeah, it had a really nice vibe to it. So definitely worth a visit and worth a good long walk around.
Yeah.
Which we did. Of course, interspersed with some lunch, which turned out to be another winner. On the edge of a town square, and we had that, which was awesome. So really nice food, really friendly people, and that was absolutely beautiful. That was a lot of fun. So we walked through or behind the castle walls to the old villages and the old streets and whatnot. That was a really nice way to break the morning up. As that was the first capital city of Portugal. The official capital of Portugal, everyone thinks it's Lisbon, but it's not. Coimbra is still technically the capital of Portugal, as it's the only city that was signed off by King Afonso. And to this day, nothing has officially been signed over to say Lisbon is the capital. So there's a little bit of strange history for Portugal.
Yeah.
So, from there it was, a short distance but a long ride from Guimarães to Porto, where we are now.
Yeah.
So it was only about 50 kilometres or thereabouts, and it took us about 2 hours to do it. So it just seemed to be a string of city after city, also little village after little village, and it was just traffic the whole way. So I think we timed it poorly, and we could have gone on the expressway, but it was nicer not to be having the whole day on the expressway.
Yeah.
So that was one way to get ourselves here, but we managed to find the accommodation, which Anne just found a great spot right beside the river.
Yeah.
And not too far a walk from a couple of sites that we wanted to see.
Yes.
The first being São Bento, the train station here.
Yeah.
So not the metro station, but the train station. And that has, do you recall how many tiles?
It's about 220,000.
Yeah, painted tiles which depict the history of Portugal.
Yeah.
So that was well worth a visit, just in the entrance to the train station there.
Yeah.
Then it was a very, very short stroll to the Dom Luís I Bridge.
Yes.
And actually the hotel we're staying in is named after, called the Dom Philip, so named after our shortest reigning king.
Yes.
So we walked across the bridge, which is a really weird bridge because it has trains running along it, which is at the same level as the footpath.
Yeah.
And so everyone walks along the train lines until the train comes, and everyone shuffles across and squeezes along the handrails, watches the trains go past, and then keeps on walking across the bridge.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what was going on here in the town.
Very busy. There was people everywhere.
Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah.
So there was street performers and bands and all sorts of stuff happening just over the bridge. So that was worth a look. And they had Adriano from Argentina. No, he was from Madrid, sorry.
Yeah.
That's right. And he was doing some street art in the middle of the road where cars were going through, interrupting his act the whole time. So he was ushering them through while he was performing his act.
Yeah.
And then we sort of wound our way down a very, very steep hill from the top of the bridge all the way down to the riverside where all the port bars were.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Walked along the river and then ducked into an alley to find a really nice place to eat, didn't we?
Yeah. So the wait staff and all the owners of the restaurant were really, really friendly, really accommodating, and because we ordered way too much food, they even shuffled the table next to us across just to cover all the plates that we needed to spread all over our table. But it was a really nice meal again, and really enjoyable. So after that, we
finished the meal
that's
with some
right.
port.
We had to try some port.
Yeah, some Porto.
Ange tried the white port, and I had a red port. And there was a whole range to choose from, but we just went with the waiter's recommendations.
Yeah.
And again, they were very good.
Very nice.
Yeah, indeed. So then, we sort of wandered the streets and found we crossed the river on the underside of the bridge. So there's actually two ways to get across the river. One's the top of the bridge and one's underneath the bridge, which we sort of found by accident. And then walked along the other side of the riverfront, where again it was just littered with restaurants, and we could hear the music going from across the river. But when we made it across, that had finished.
Yeah.
Then we sort of wound our way up through these tiny little alleys, which sort of head toward the castle, but they had little eateries and wine bars and all sorts of little places to hang out, which were very, very cool to have a look at. So and then we got our steps up and climbed some very steep streets, just to walk off that massive dinner that we had. Then we sort of made it back to the hotel here. But we sort of wondered a bit more what was happening in Porto here and a bit more about the city.
Yes.
So, but it has a population of 1.8 million people in the metro area and 249,000 in the actual city itself. So that makes it the second largest city in Portugal.
Yes.
So that's really nice. And you found out some more information.
Yeah, Porto has quite a history in relation to the Napoleon War era. So back in 1809 there was two battles of Porto. The first won by the French. It was quite a tragedy actually, in that the French sort of took over Porto, and a lot of the local peasants raced across the bridge, which had already been set up by Portuguese engineers, that they could drop the bridge if they needed to as the French were coming across, but with all of the peasants running across, that was enough force on the bridge for it to collapse, and a lot of the townspeople drowned, unfortunately, in that first battle. So the French then sort of had control of Porto, and the British and the locals from Portugal had sort of retreated to the other side of the river, and they were sort of trying to work out a way that they could then storm again unnoticed by the French, and they were helped out by some local port bargemen, that the boats here, the rebellos, I think they're called, that are used for the port industry. There was three large ones unnoticed by the French that were tethered against the banks, and they were able to use those barges to ferry across some troops and to climb the steep banks to a local cemetery of a bishop that was again not well guarded by the French, and they were not enough to get a stronghold there and to be in a good position to then in the early hours of the morning storm the French troops and to take control back over Porto. The British were able to win that second battle, and I believe there was a lot of celebration with port at the time.
Unusually so, yes. Being the national drink and all.
Yes.
So, indeed. So, very good. Yeah, so it's a very interesting city.
It certainly is.
Again, well worth a visit.
Yeah.
Very busy, clearly, with obviously that population. So this morning it looks like it's a bit overcast for us, and had a bit of rain last night, but that was after we got back in, which was well timed.
Yeah.
So we'll jump on the bike again shortly and discover a bit more of Portugal and see where the day takes us.
Absolutely.
See you soon. Welcome back to day 11 for us. Here we are in Penel. We arrived here yesterday. So yesterday we left Porto and a little bit overcast, so we donned the wet weather gear.
Yeah.
And made our way out of Porto. But before we did that, we stopped at a little cafe because we had to have the national cuisine here, which is the Portuguese tart. So the tarts aren't actually called Portuguese tarts; they're called pastel de nata, and they are an invention invented by some monks in the 18th century. There was an excess of egg yolks because the egg whites were used to starch the nuns' habits. So they had all these egg yolks, and the monks being very inventive, they decided to make them into these 2-bite tarts. As they were located next to a sugar refinery, they added them together and made these sweet little tarts. So that was what we indulged in yesterday morning, and they were very, very good.
Yes.
So that was a nice little start to the day, a bit of a sugar hit for us to get on our way. So then we jumped on the bike and then made our way out of Porto. It was nice to get out of the traffic and onto the back roads again. We avoided the freeways yesterday, which was really nice.
Yes.
And followed our way along the Douro River, along the N108. So for the motorbike riders out there, that's a beautiful road to ride, really nice. That took us through all the vineyards and all the farmland there, and we just chased the river along there, which was just absolutely stunning. A lot of fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah, indeed. So unfortunately we saw the after effects of the bushfires that have come through here recently, and saw a couple of the properties that were destroyed, but it looks like they're well on their way to fixing it all up again, rebuilding everything, and they've bounced back relatively quickly. So so the fires, as we saw the other day, were still spotting in areas. So they are still about a little bit, but we've avoided them along the way, as far as any roadblocks or anything, except for that one minor diversion on the freeway.
Yes.
But the weather now seems to be sort of overcast and cooling down, which is helping, no doubt, the firefighters in their efforts to contain them all. We stopped at a small place called Parla, where there's a railway bridge which sort of was on the mouth of one of the river bends, and took a little bit of footage there, which hopefully we'll be able to share with you if it's turned out okay. And so that was a nice little stop just to take in more of the valley, because it's this beautiful valley that you're following along the N108. That was absolutely stunning. So just beautiful views there, and it's nice to sort of stop and take all of that in.
Yes.
So and you know a little bit about the river.
Yes, the Douro River is the second largest river in Portugal, and it starts in Spain. It crosses a couple of the regions of Spain, the Castile and the Leon regions, before entering Portugal, separating Spain and Portugal on the border for part of the way, and then snaking across the whole entire width of Portugal up near the northern end and finishing at Porto.
Oh.
It's considered the oldest wine region in the world. There is evidence that it was trading port as early as the 8th century BC. Yeah, so
amazing.
Yeah, and using those little robolo boats. Yeah, that
Awesome.
we've seen some along the river.
Yeah, we spoke about them yesterday. Shuffling the troops across.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Indeed. So so then along the river there we had a quick lunch stop and a small little back alley again in Peça de Ragua. So that was really nice. The owner's there. He was a nice young fellow that served us lunch. We had this really nice quick stop.
Yeah.
And again, bought some more pastries for the afternoon.
Certainly did.
Of course.
And that particular town seemed to be the hub of the wine region, because there was a cruise terminal there with quite a number of cruise ships pulled up.
Yeah, the low set ones. So only a couple stories high, and we saw a couple of them move along the river.
Yes.
So that was nice. And then we took a slight detour over the bridge to one of the port wineries. So that was Sandeman. So that was nice to see that. All the rows of the grapevines all tiered up the mountains. It's amazing how they planted them all and grew them all there along these incredibly steep banks.
Yes.
They were all tiered, and the grapevines all growing amongst them all. So when we stopped there at the winery, it looked like all the staff, who were sort of dressed in the same sort of t-shirts and whatnot, had this incredible banquet laid out for them, which they were all sharing, and it seemed very, very communal and a lot of fun. So good on them. So, and then we jumped back on the bike after that, and we did a slightly wrong turn over one of the bridges, but that turned out to be quite well, because we came across a statue of the Angel of Portugal, I believe it was. Yes. Dubbed the Birdman of the bridge. So, which it did look like the superhero. But anyway, we went across the bridge, went back again, and then jumped onto the N226, and then followed that along as well to avoid the freeways. And that was again, really, really nice. From there, we wound through a lot of the orchards, and there were just dozens and dozens of apple orchards along that area there. It was quite strange seeing apples in the gutter along the road and all over the floor and whatnot. They were just everywhere. And
yes, they were.
Chockers full of fruit.
Yeah, and it took us quite close to the wind farms as well, that road did.
It did, yeah, because we were just on the crest of the ridge, which was, again, some amazing views from all of that stuff, which was fantastic. So that was another nice part of the ride and another highlight for us. And then we pulled up into a small town train crosser for afternoon tea, where we pulled out the snacks that we'd bought earlier at our lunch stop. And it was a town that we had the whole town square to ourselves, with the exception of a stray dog who sort of was a little bit timid, but it was a big dog that sort of lay down next to us while we had our afternoon tea. And it was just a really nice way to sort of break the trip up again, jump off the bike, stretch your legs, and have a quick look around the town. So there's sort of evidence of where the Moors had settled there, with the different types of buildings.
Yes. And Jewish as well.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So lots of sort of stained glass windows with like the Star of David and those sorts of things in there, which was really cool to see. And then we were not too far from where we are now in Penel. And we pulled up here in the afternoon and had an interesting time trying to find the place. Yes. So we rode through all the streets. We came across another couple of bikers, and they were from Ireland, and they were on I think it's a 2-week off-road ride, and that couple, they were staying at a place not too far from us, so they found their accommodation while we struggled to find ours. We ended up stopping in the information bureau and found out that we were only 15 metres across from where we were trying to find. The street signs are pretty interesting, because every time the road takes a turn, it seems to change the street name. So we found the right street. We found number 1, and we couldn't find number 5, which is where we're at the moment. And so that was interesting, but it turned out to be on the opposite side of the square that was dividing the two places between us.
Yes.
So we went across there, and then the owner of the place, he greeted us at the front door, and it was really nice to see how proud he was of this place. It was the building itself is about 150 years old, and they bought it, and he said it was quite run down and derelict because people hadn't been here for so long, and they've gone through and restored everything, and they've done an incredible job. Like, the place is just beautiful. It's really, really nice. The dining room downstairs has all the original furniture in there, which is fully restored. Big lounge suites, all the big dining setting as well. It's all there, with the additional modern gramophone in the corner. And that was just sort of really set the room off as well. And then so he showed us all around the place, and he and his partner live across from the building itself, just in the same building, but across a little alleyway. And we were greeted this morning by their pirate cat, a cat with one eye. That was very, very friendly, and tried to join us. This is actually our second attempt to make this video, because we shot the original one in a little balcony which is outside, but someone started cutting bricks not too far from us, and the audio was all damaged, so we couldn't actually hear the video. So this is take 2, and we had just gone down and finished breakfast. So this beautiful breakfast with seemed like a lot of local produce.
Yeah, fresh rolls and cheeses, almonds, fruit.
So that was
jams and local honey.
Exactly. So that was a nice way to start the day, a little bit spoiled.
We should mention our dinner last night too, though.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So there was a choice of one restaurant to go to.
Yes, there was. So thankfully, it was a very nice restaurant.
It was really good
food again.
Yeah, really friendly waitress last night.
Yeah,
so
and we ran into the Irish couple again.
We did. Yeah, had a bit of a chat to them, and so that was really good. So we again had this really nice, massive meal.
Yeah, finished it with some fruit.
We did. We're trying to pretend to be healthy, and no, the food has been really good though. So last night was probably the richest meal that one of the richest meals that we've had. But again, all very, very fresh and really tasty. And because we'd eaten so much, we had to go for a walk afterwards.
We certainly did. Yeah.
So we had a bit of a walk along the castle wall on here at night, which overlooked the city, which is again really nice at night. It'd be interesting to see it during the day today.
Yeah.
But the what we saw last night was just beautiful. We sort of walked through these old streets, and the castle walls have 6 gates to them, and each one of the gates has a different name. And the place that we're staying in today, where we stayed last night, has 6 rooms in it, and they've named the rooms after each one of the gates of the city. Yeah. So that was pretty cool, the way they've tied in the history of the place.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Yeah, and Pinel itself is one of the oldest towns in Portugal, and was sort of the hub or the centre of a fortification system that was used by the Portuguese to protect the local lands from invasion. The castle itself, which has the wall around it of 800 metres in diameter, was built in the 13th century. Okay. And then the other sort of castles in the local area, including where we stopped for our afternoon tea stacks as part of that fortification system. It was briefly occupied by the French as well back in the early 1800s during that Napoleon War era.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And the other thing we stumbled upon last night on our walk, there's an old building which is sort of in ruins, but they have restored the majority of or preserved most of the building itself. There's the auditorium. So we walked through there, and they've done such a good job, especially at night. Everything's all uplit, and access to all the different areas of the auditorium is available. So they've sort of put modern stairs, like steel stairs, through the place to access everything. And you can see the original tiered concrete seating, or stone seating I should say, and which sort of looked down upon where the performers did their thing. And we were able to walk through that whole building. There was no roof, some of the walls were missing, but it was amazing to be able to walk through the top entrance, through the whole building, and then down out to the bottom street there. So that was a nice little discovery after walking off our meal last night. So
certainly was.
There was lots to see, and again, a lovely little town to discover. So you could easily spend a day here walking around and having a look. So we're just in the old part of town. The new part of town is down the hill, where there's more than one restaurant, we've been told. But we didn't need that last night, that's for sure. So the owner, who was very, very gracious with his time when we arrived, pulled out a map and showed us all the places to have a look at and what to see in the area. So we were very fortunate with that. And this place is fantastic and well worth stopping if anyone else is coming through the area. A nice little town to visit.
Yes, indeed.
So here we are, but we'll have to put our riding gear back on. Yep. Put our hats back on and jump on our magic ride, and off we go again. Yep. So we'll see how we go today, and we'll see you on the next instalment.
Bajo la luna llena tu piel me llama, como fiesta eterna, nuestra llama en la tu voz, es nuestro tiempo, la noche joven está. Cuerpo con cuerpo, la música es el puente, el compás nos guía. Amor en cada frente, bailamos pegados, somos el centro, torbellino de pasión en movimiento. En esta fiesta somos el momento, ritmos que se mezclan, destino y sentimiento, y se esnúdate, siente de rumbo dando el baile atención.
We're back. Good morning. Welcome to day 12. We're here in Nazaré, where we arrived last night after a riding day yesterday, which was a bit foggy. So we didn't see much at all day yesterday. So the rain had just started after we'd packed the bike up, and we went on our way. We'd had our wet weather gear on anyway, so that was all good. But the fog just set in. Some points the visibility was really low and we couldn't see much at all.
Yes.
So we wound our way off to our first stop, which is where we met. We went from Pinel to Moronho, where we met up with Jan and Chris from Sydney. So we had a nice lunch with them, caught up, swapped some tales as they're travelling around Spain and Portugal as well.
Yes.
So that was really nice catching up with the two of them and sharing a lunch. And it's quite odd that you have to go to the other side of the world to catch up with some friends for lunch. So, but that was really nice. But before we got there, we put in an address into the GPS, which wasn't quite the right place. So it was only 1.5 kilometres away from where we were supposed to be. Yeah. Because all of the names have very, very similar wording and descriptions as to the names of the towns. Yeah. And the GPS decided to take us on a little off-road adventure. So we took a few detours with these unpaved roads, and where they got narrower and narrower through parts of what looked like a little forestry area.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So that was a bit interesting. So a 1.5 kilometre journey took us a little bit longer than we anticipated. Yeah. But we managed to get out of there and find our way after resetting the GPS to the right settings. So we decided to avoid unpaved roads on the GPS, and we made it there, no dramas at all. Yeah. So we had lunch there, and then we had another couple of hours before our next destination. So we broke that up, and because there really wasn't much for us to see, not a lot of footage was taken yesterday. No. And the roads were quite busy. That last trek was really busy. That's right. Lots of stopping and starting of traffic and going through towns, and so it was a bit of a long trek, but it was broken up with our tea snack stop. It was, yeah. So we stopped in a little town called Pombal, where we just took our wet weather gear off and had a bit of a snack, coffee and tea, and it looked like there was two sisters running the cafe that we were at. Yeah. So we stopped there, had some more nice food, which was good. Yeah. And broke the trip up a little bit, and we noticed there was a couple of buildings that had pretty cool murals on them. Yeah. Which was really nice to see. Yeah. And then we jumped on the bikes again, and then made our way on towards Nazaré, which was again only about another hour or hour and a half away from where we'd stopped for the afternoon. And we made it here yesterday evening, just before dark, and it was interesting finding the place. Yes. So another adventure, trying to find an address, and so it makes it tricky when there's no street names on any of the streets around. So we ended up going into one of the local chemists, and she had to Google it, even though we were only less than 50 metres away from where we were staying. But we asked her, and she had no idea, that being a local. Thankfully she spoke very, very good English. She did. Yeah. So we've been very lucky on that front with communication, so we've not had to struggle too badly. No. There's only probably 2 people we've met so far. The lady at the hotel the other night, and then in Porto. She didn't speak any English. That's right. And then the waitress yesterday for lunch, she didn't speak a word of English either. No, that's right. But we got through that, so that was all good. But again, people have been really, really friendly, which has been nice.
Yeah.
So, but we found the place here and then decided to go for a quick walk. Even though there's plenty of eateries here, there's little sports bars, restaurants.
Every corner seems to have a little restaurant.
Yeah. There's so Nazaré seems to be set up really well for the tourist. But even as we rode along the beachfront, like we were 20 metres from the sand, we could barely see the water. It was that foggy when we arrived. So we decided to go for a walk, grab some more supplies for another antipasta plate for dinner. So we gorged ourselves, and it was well after midnight by the time we finished dinner, as we do. So we've slotted in quite well. So I'm not sure how we're going to readjust to Spanish time in a couple of days' time, but we'll be right. So, but that was all good. But here in Nazaré, you've got a couple of facts about the place.
Yes. So it's well known for the traditional clad of the women here, where they wear the petticoats with 7 layers for the 7 days of the week and the 7 colours of the rainbow. And it stems back from times when they would wait on the shores while the fishing boats were out, and as the cool sea breeze would come in, they'd use the petticoats to wrap themselves around the heads and the arms and the back to stay warm. The local women, the older women that still dress in that way, tend to wear it with a head, like a scarf, and an apron that they have embroidered themselves, and flamboyant jewellery. So we're looking forward to whether we'll actually see that today before we leave. Yeah,
exactly. So again, it's very, very foggy out this morning. So we're not too sure. We've been told to also have a look at the drying of the fish out on the
jetty, where they salt them and leave them out to dry.
Yeah.
And bring the nets in from the fishing boats and dump all of their produce, their finds on the jetty.
So we'll see if we can hunt that down this morning. But we also wanted to see here, because this is one of the surfing meccas of the world, where the world's largest surfed waves have been surfed. So the current record, current official record, is held by a German by the name of Sebastian Steutner, and so the current record, he surfed a wave in 2020, and that was only ratified by Guinness in 2022, so it takes a while to do it. So the previous record was set at 26.21 metres, and just this year in February, on the 24th of February, he surfed another wave here which was 28.57 metres, which in old speak is 93.73 feet. And they used technology, so Sebastian Steutner has teamed up with Porsche, and they've developed drones which have been used to not only capture the footage of the wave but also to measure the wave heights to make sure they're all accurate and legit. And now they've been submitted to Guinness to make sure that they are approved, and he now holds the next new record for the world's largest wave.
And the waves are caused by the underwater canyon that's just off the coast here. So it's 170 kilometres long and 5,000 metres deep, and Europe's largest underwater canyon.
There we go. Yes, amazing. So we're not too sure how much we'll see of the area here today, but there is another cable car here.
A funicular they call them. The cable car was built in the same year as the Eiffel Tower. So that was 1889, and also it was designed by one of Eiffel's disciples.
There we go. So it's all in the family. Again, not sure what we'll see. I don't think it'd be worth taking a ride in the cable car today, seeing as we can barely even see down the street at the moment. It's that foggy still. So we'll have a hunt around and see what we can find, and we'll report back tomorrow as to what we find. So we'll see you then.